You know, it's one of the most frustrating paradoxes in dating, right? You do everything you're supposed to do, everything you think is right, but somehow it seems to push her away. Today, we're going to deconstruct that exact thing, the fascinating and, let's be honest, kind of counterintuitive psychology behind what really, truly creates attraction. So how are we going to solve this puzzle? Well, here's the game plan. We'll start with what I call the perfect guy paradox and debunk a huge dating myth. Then we'll dive right into the psychology of value, figure out the unspoken signals you're sending, and of course, learn how to avoid some really common traps. And stick around because at the end, we're going to reveal the ultimate attraction trigger that might just change how you see things. All right, let's kick things off with this idea of the perfect guy paradox. This is that bizarre situation where doing everything by the book somehow goes completely sideways.
So picture this, you're being that perfect boyfriend. You're bringing her flowers, you're sending those long, thoughtful texts, you're giving her all your attention. You are literally checking all the boxes you've been told are the right way to win someone over.
But here's the thing, instead of pulling her closer, you can just feel it. She's slowly, silently pulling away. There's no big argument, no huge fight, just this confusing, quiet fade. This is the exact mystery we're going to unravel today. Why attraction can just die, even when everything on the surface seems absolutely perfect.
Now, to really understand this paradox, we have to tackle what is probably the single biggest lie in conventional dating advice.
And here it is. This idea is everywhere, deeply baked into our culture. Just treat her like a queen, and she'll be yours forever. But as we're about to see, attraction is way more complicated than just showering someone with kindness.
So you might be asking, where did we even get this idea? Well, the source material points to a couple of really powerful influences. First, you've got those grand romantic fantasies we all grew up seeing in Bollywood films. And second, there's that well-meaning but, let's face it, often misguided advice from our own families. Both have kind of conditioned us to believe this is the only path.
Now look, let's be crystal clear. Respect and kindness are absolutely crucial for any healthy long-term relationship. They create comfort, they create safety, but they don't necessarily create attraction. Attraction needs a spark, right? It needs a little bit of tension, a little bit of a challenge to really catch fire. Without it, you get comfort, sure, but you don't always get chemistry. So, why is this idea of challenge such a powerful ingredient? Well, the answer is hiding in the psychology of value and how our brains are literally wired to want what's hard to get.
It all comes down to a fundamental concept called the scarcity principle. It's super simple. We as humans automatically assign more value to things that are rare or difficult to get. I mean, think about it. A diamond is just a rock, but it's way more valuable than a pebble on the street because it's so much harder to find. The exact same principle applies to people and attraction.
And you see this principle playing out everywhere. Look at the insane competition for those rare government jobs in India. Or the absolute frenzy when a limited edition pair of sneakers drops. It even happens in our texts. An instant reply feels kind of common, but a delayed reply? It feels a little more rare, a little more valuable, because it suggests you have a life happening outside of that conversation. Okay, so how does this whole scarcity thing actually translate into the dating world? Well, it's all about the subconscious, unspoken signals we're constantly sending. And these signals either project high value or low value. See, every single action sends a signal. Being genuinely busy with your own life and your own purpose, staying calm when things get tense, making a decision, these are all high-value signals. On the flip side, things like double texting, just showering her with nonstop compliments, or always looking for reassurance, those can signal neediness, and that's an attraction killer. And here's the simple rule to remember. Your behavior is your currency in the game of attraction. It's way more powerful than your job title or how much money you have. A guy who has a solid sense of self-respect and a clear purpose is always going to be seen as more valuable than a rich guy who's constantly desperate for validation. All right, now that we've got the psychology down, let's talk about some of the really common traps that guys fall into, the mistakes that just kill curiosity and attraction. First up is what's called the investment principle. A good relationship is a partnership, right? It's about a balance of effort. So when she invests her time or energy, you should absolutely match it, but try not to exceed it constantly. The rule of thumb is if the effort always feels one-sided, attraction tends to fade. Next, we have the predictability trap.
Look, routine and comfort are great in a long-term relationship, but they can be a double-edged sword. If things get too predictable, it can completely kill off that sense of excitement and mystery. I mean, if she can predict your every single move, there's just no room for curiosity to grow.
Now this one's a little more subtle. Sometimes, a woman might test your emotional strength without even consciously realizing she's doing it. Maybe she mentions another guy, or cancels plans at the last minute, or sends a few dry texts. What she's really doing is seeing how you'll react. And if you can stay cool, calm, and unbothered, it shows her you're emotionally secure and confident in yourself. Your reaction reveals everything.
So what's the big secret here? What is the real trigger for attraction? Well, I can tell you it's not about being the perfect guy, it's not about having a ton of money, and it's not even about being ridiculously good looking.
The real triggers are all internal. It has so much less to do with what you do for her, and everything to do with who you are for yourself. True, lasting attraction is really built on 3 pillars: confidence in yourself, a clear direction in your own life, and emotional control over your reactions. When you have these qualities, you just radiate a sense of self-respect that is incredibly, incredibly attractive.
And this is the ultimate goal. This is the thought you want her to have in the back of her mind. He chooses to be with me, but he doesn't need to be with me. That's the huge difference between genuine desire and desperate neediness. At the end of the day, it really just boils down to this. Neediness repels attraction, and self-respect fuels it. When you have a strong, solid sense of your own self-worth, you basically become a magnet for attraction. So here's the final thought to leave you with. She doesn't fall for the man who needs her. She falls for the man who values her, who appreciates her, but who doesn't depend on her for his own happiness or validation. So stop trying to prove you need her and start building a life that you're genuinely proud of. When you do that, she'll naturally want to be a part of it.